out there? Hello? Aww. Fucking piece of shit. Fuck. You little cocksucker, where are you? What in the world happened to my wall? Why is there piss all over the floor? What the? Yeah. Can we all just pretend that I didn't almost get overthrown by a dog? If you can forget, I can forget, and then we can get to the topic of today's video. Yeah? Okay, excellent. It's been a bunch of high points for PC gaming thus far this year. Great ports and releases, news of Halo coming to the PC later this year, lots to rejoice and celebrate for. What more can you expect from the best platform? But of course, that's not to say things are perfect over here. No platform is perfect, no gaming device is perfect, no video game is perfect. Perfection does not exist in this industry or this hobby. The only perfection that does exist is in my popsicle stick. It's no secret that the gaming industry thrives on competition. Competition comes in many forms here, sometimes in the form of hardware functionality, where you can get the best deals and prices, which platform has the best graphics and performance. But amongst all the forms of competition, there is but one that is almost always guaranteed to work. A practice that's honestly a plague on the industry. That practice being exclusivity, or what I would prefer to call it,
cancer.
Now when it comes to exclusives, this is something that's a lot more common amongst consoles. Companies oftentimes have to give consumers an incentive to purchase their hardware, and sometimes that incentive is something as simple as a game solely existing on that hardware. That is until emulators come in and bitch slap the consoles. Now there's many reasons why I call exclusives cancer. It puts the consumer in a position where they are forced to choose a set of hardware if they can only afford a single set of hardware, even if that hardware is practically the exact same thing as the rest of them, and just as capable, the only difference being the company logo placed on the box. It's an artificial way to make someone care about a console, even if said hardware is a piece of shit. It creates fanboyism and peasantry. It's a practice that has existed for a very long time. And it's not as if it doesn't exist on the PC. Some people like to pretend as if it doesn't, but it does. You want to play Blizzard only games? You have to go to battle.net. You want to play EA games only? You gotta go to Origin. You want to play Valve games only? You gotta go to Steam. It's a practice that doesn't exist to nearly the same extent that it does on consoles. Because digital storefronts on the PC are free. It does create several player bases, which can divide PC gamers. Meaning that if you wanted to play, say, Battlefield, but you wanted to invite your friends from Steam, that wouldn't be possible. They would have to jump over to Origin and create an account there. Nothing new here. And it's not as if I don't understand the concept of first-party exclusives. A company invests all their resources into a game. They have the absolute right to do whatever they want with that game, whether it's locking it down to their platform and riddling it with microtransactions and loot boxes or whatever. It's their game, it's their intellectual property, it's perfectly understandable. It's one of the many reasons why Origin and Battle.net even exist to begin with. These storefronts exist for the sole purpose of selling their first-party games. You go to Blizzard, the storefront practically exists to sell you World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo. We can ignore the Destiny locked exclusivity for now, but it is an example of this bullshit. Not that anyone's missing anything from playing Destiny. You go to Origin, it's the exact same thing. EA is placing their games that they produced. It sucks. You have to go to a storefront you probably don't want to be in to play a game that they made. But there's a mutual understanding between the consumer and the corporation. This is their product. Why on earth would they put it on their competitor's marketplace? But that's not the Epic Games Store. Far from it. What has Epic exactly done for the gaming industry? Fortnite. And I'm not saying that's doing something for the gaming industry. That's more like a plague on the gaming industry.
Fortnite. What the point of building what you going now?
Now imagine you had a lemonade stand, and then the person to you had a lemonade stand, and then the person next to him had a lemonade stand, and all three of you sold lemonade. Two of you made your own unique lemonade, and you sold it at your stand. But one of those stands didn't sell their own lemonade. Instead, they saw people making some of the best lemonade, offered them a contract to buy their lemonade up front and sell it at only their stand. And before you know it, they're going around buying lemonade recipes from everyone around the block. That's Epic Games Store. It is artificial competition. Competition that doesn't exactly benefit the industry or the market. Buying out the best talents doesn't exactly mean you're a good competitor, because while the two lemonade stands next to you may be making not as much money, they may be providing amazing service. You have the lockdown on all the recipes people would want. I don't exactly like to use food analogies, but it's the best I could do for now. Suck a dick. Epic, as a storefront, has nothing to offer consumers that can't be found elsewhere, and because of that, they know they aren't unique. They know that, well, they're about as bare bones as a Nintendo Switch Online service. When you take a look at their biggest competitor, Steam, Steam provides a service unlike all the other storefronts. Steam has a gigantic list of features that has taken them years to implement and refine to make Steam what it is today, and it's continuously evolving to provide PC gamers an experience for their games that can't be found anywhere else. And you would think that Epic Games Store would have the huge advantage here. That advantage being that they could easily mimic every single one of those features, pick and choose what works, because they've seen Steam implement them and they've seen which ones work and which ones don't. You think they would have been able to take all those features and on top of it stack it with more unique features, more unique services, and have a huge advantage, all while publishing their own first-party games. But no, Epic Games Store is the new kid on the block. They're basically the T-series of PC gaming. Ugh, I can't believe I used a PewDiePie meme. They want the easy way to the top. They don't seek to satisfy customers. They seek to lure over PC gamers the easiest way possible. And it's downright bullshit. It's divided PC gamers. Not only that, it's divided the PC gaming industry. Epic Store is always willing to turn around and take it up the ass for these companies. Because when you go over to Steam, you've got reviews, mod support, forums, communities and clubs, things that took hard work to implement. But at Epic Games Store, they know that these big companies don't like the idea of having reviews on the front page of their game when it's published on a store. They don't like the idea of people shitting on their products, even when those products deserve to be shit on. Because as fucked up as Steam can be sometimes, they know it's absolute bullshit to allow a company to include a paid mod service. They know it's bullshit to not include Steam user reviews for games. Steam user reviews, while sometimes manipulated by review bombing and sour customers, can still provide people with an overall review of the product and the problems with the game. Why do you think Bethesda has decided to create their own shitty storefront? So that they can implement their own anti-consumer practices. So that they can include a paid mod service. So that people don't have to see the user reviews for their shitty ass games. Epic Games Store has become that storefront that consumers know to avoid because that's where all the shitty publishers and developers go. They know that's where they will find the most anti-consumer bullshit. Epic Games Store launched during a time where they could have been 3 steps ahead of Steam, but instead they decided to launch not even a step behind. They launched with about 10 feet behind. And it's one of the reasons people hate the Epic Games Store. It's why it's one of the most controversial things on the PC gaming platform right now. It's shady. Many people come to the PC gaming platform because they don't like that anti-consumer bullshit found on consoles. And the console storefronts like the PlayStation Store or the Nintendo eShop, where your options are limited because you only have one storefront you can go to. Whereas on the PC platform, you have multiple. And then you got morons like Jim Sterling, who think that the console marketplace can exist on the same spectrum as the PC gaming marketplace. And that is completely idiotic. Exclusives work to sell hardware. When you try taking that practice and you try implementing it on the PC, what you get is nowhere near the same result. I mean, let's take a look at this shit.
For the first time in a long time, Steam is facing potentially real competition in the PC digital distribution market. As well as GOG and Discord, Epic Games has been making serious waves with its own storefront, leveraging the ridiculous popularity of Fortnite in the same way Valve once leveraged its own games, back when Valve did indeed make games. Artifact doesn't count. Epic's been throwing its money around too, with a generous revenue split offered to developers and the finagling of some damn big exclusives.
See, right there you already pointed out one of the biggest problems with Epic Games. Simply buying out games, without a guarantee of having anywhere near the success they could have on Steam. When games can only be found on one single marketplace, they will sell less. So an 88% revenue share doesn't mean shit if that game won't sell anywhere near the same copies that it would on Steam. Publishers and developers are taking a leap of faith with Epic Games.
Meanwhile, some developers and publishers are choosing to just go it alone. Bethesda is attempting to push its own launcher for games like Fallout 76, likely inspired by the success EA has had with Origin. And while I have an issue with the inconvenience of fracturing people's game libraries, and I've got an issue with the constant need to make account after account to keep up with new games in this industry, I think I'm past the point of caring when it comes to Steam itself missing out on games.
Jim, you are one of the biggest shitters on Fallout 76 and Bethesda. The fact you support Bethesda having their own storefront is mind-blowing. You know very well why Bethesda wants their own storefront. It's not because, oh no, Steam puts out games we don't like. No, not a single one of these developers or publisher gives two shits if Steam sells a game about rape. They don't care. What they do care about is user reviews shitting on their games and not being able to sell paid mods. It's not a good move. It's a bad move.
Steam is a fucking joke as far as I'm concerned, a mess of bigoted bullshit and broken games, utterly taken over by piss-takers who are not in the business of producing entertainment, but of simply seeing how far they can push Valve's pathetically flimsy boundaries. Valve is the drunk sheriff of a lawless town. It wears the star on its jacket, it's nominally in charge, it may even throw the occasional baddie in jail, but it's proven unwilling to fundamentally clean up the streets it's meant to oversee. As Valve continues to bury its head in the sand and allow almost any trash, no matter how badly made or disingenuously edgy, to stink up the Steam storefront, bad actors masquerading as game developers have free reign to essentially take the piss at the company's expense.
Don't get me wrong, I am far from being a fanboy of Steam. I don't cheerlead for companies, but when I see bullshit, I will call it out. Steam is the absolute best marketplace on the PC platform right now, and it's not even close. You know it, and I know it. So what? So what? There are games that, yes, are bigoted, are fucked up, and they're published on Steam. Do you know who plays those games? Practically nobody. Does it bother you that they're on the platform? Does it bother you, Jim, when you walk into, I don't know what, a McDonald's and buy chicken McNuggets, knowing very well how they're made, knowing very well what McDonald's does behind the scenes? Of course you don't. Those games that you basically go out of your way to look for, because that's what you do, Jim. You go out of your way to look for the games. Games that otherwise people wouldn't even know exist. They only know of their existence because of you. Those games are irrelevant. So irrelevant, you have to work twice as hard to find them. And the fact that you're okay with Epic Games Store basically dividing the PC marketplace and buying out games and selling out to Ubisoft so that they can do their bullshit on their platform over a few bad apples on Steam, it just doesn't seem like you. Doesn't seem like the Jim I know.
Steam appears to be a race to the bottom now, where self-styled developers experiment to see who can get away with the worst behaviour. Years ago, when Steam first opened the floodgates and became a free-for-all, people welcomed the new open approach. For too long had Valve restricted who could sell games on their store, keeping their digital distribution service a gated-off club. But because moderation and the game industry don't get along, because everything has to be a matter of extremes, the problem of restriction was replaced with the exact opposite problem, that of total relaxation, like a very tired anus, and Steam has relaxed its anus so hard it shat its pants.
Jim, Those boundaries that Steam has not imposed on people too drastically, those boundaries are what has given us some of the best indie games. Do you not understand this? The fact that anyone can publish on Steam has created more good than bad. Steam is literally a game changer. The indie scene changed when Steam became the top tier place. Why do you think we get things like Undertale? We don't get it because big companies threw money at it. We get it because a passionate developer had a place where he could put that game. Somewhere where the marketplace didn't tell him, nah, we don't find this worthy, it's too pixelated. Should there be more fine-tuning there? Yes, there should. But it's that very tool that has created some of the best indie games, and you know it. You're just butthurt that there's games that you don't like on the platform. If having to get rid of the ability for anyone to publish on Steam so that we don't see racist, bigoted games exist means having to get rid of games like Undertale, nah, I'm not doing that. That's basically all I had to say towards Jim Sterling. I don't have a full lengthy response to it. It was just that little bit that really hit me and made me question Jim Sterling as a pro-consumer advocate. Because he's sure okay with selling out to Epic Game Store, which is doing the most anti-consumer bullshit on the market right now compared to Steam. Epic Game Store is barely now deciding that, hey, now we're gonna start implementing all those things that any basic storefront needs. Months later, the basic tools and necessities that PC gamers look for when it comes to buying their games, followed by the spyware hidden behind them, and more controversy. There is so much to discuss when it comes to the Epic Games Store, so much wrong with it. But I think I've run out of rant juice, aka Monster Energy drink, cause you know that's exactly what gamers drink and shit. My final thoughts being, the Epic Games Store is a place for developers and companies. Not a place for consumers, not a place for PC gamers. Epic may have started high with Fortnite, a huge game to have under your belt, and they will forever be known as the guys that made that game. But even they knew deep down inside, the success of Fortnite, it wasn't gonna stick forever. They knew eventually Fortnite was going to die in popularity, and then what were they going to do? Just sit on top of the money they made from Fortnite? No, of course not. Make another game? Pfft, nah. Just because you made one of the most popular games in the existence of all of gaming doesn't mean you know jack shit about selling games or about creating a storefront for PC users. A game's success is limited. A storefront's is unlimited, and Epic knows that. Unfortunately, how much they know is very little. There's a reason the Epic Games Store is one of the most hated things by PC gamers right now, because it's bullshit, and I guess that will be that for now. I gotta go punish my dog, but until then, I'll be seeing all of you in your beautiful, gorgeous, sexy faces very soon.
Fritanga sucks ass.